What we have discovered is that numerous features of the Kuiper Belt, a field of icy debris beyond the orbit of Neptune, can be understood if the solar system possesses an additional ninth planet that resides well beyond the orbits of the known planets.
Astronomers across the globe have recently sparked fresh interest of a ninth planet in our solar system. It can't be denied that there is real interest surrounding the existence of a planet that is unseen in modern times. For hundreds of years, the search has been on to rediscover this hidden planet. But why are we searching for something we have never seen, and how do we know it exists? You may be surprised to learn that even though we have not discovered the planet in modern times, it is almost impossible for it not to exist, and we are going to tell you why. There is ancient and even modern evidence that can't be accounted for but anything else than the existence of another planet, due to the large number of natural disasters that have happened on our planet. Many people claim that this is due to the approach of Nibiru. Now, for those of you who see it as the destroyer of the Earth, we're not going to give you any false evidence that is sitting behind the sun and approach is imminent. That is simply not the case. In fact, the planet is so far away at the moment that it may even orbit another sun in a figure 8 type orbit. This would explain a highly irregular orbit period and could even blow open the doors to once again rewrite what we have been led to believe about our position in the solar system. I mean, it could be 20,000 years from now before it becomes visible through a high-powered space telescope. Does that not just blow your mind apart? Anyway, guys, there are 6 credible pieces of evidence that could prove Nibiru exists. Now listen, we're not saying it definitely exists, but what we are saying is that something out there in the perimeter of our solar system that when discovered, it will confirm not only our wildest suspicion, but answer the question of which we were already coming up with answers to. Just wait till you hear this.
The oft-contested designation of Pluto as the 9th planet is back in the news again today. The California Institute of Technology published a study claiming they have discovered a true 9th planet beyond Pluto.
At number 6, irregularities in Neptune and Uranus orbit. Following the discovery of the planet Neptune in 1846, there has been considerable speculations that another planet existed beyond its orbit, a region we call the trans-Neptunian region. The search was underway in the mid-19th century and culminated at the start of the 20th with Percival Lowell's quest for Planet X. Lowell proposed the Planet X hypothesis to explain apparent discrepancies in the orbits of the giant planets, particularly Uranus and Neptune, speculating that the gravity of a larger unseen 9th planet could have perturbed Uranus enough to account for the irregularities. Clyde Tombaugh's discovery of Pluto in 1930 appeared to validate Lowell's hypothesis, and Pluto was officially named the 9th planet. But in 1978, Pluto was conclusively determined to be too small for its gravity to affect the giant planets, resulting in a brief search for a 10th planet. The search was largely abandoned in the early 1990s. But in 2014, based on similarities of the orbits of a group of recently discovered extreme trans-Neptunian objects, astronomers hypothesized the existence of a super-Earth planet 15 times the mass of the Earth and beyond 200 astronomical units, with possibility of high inclined orbit at some 1,500 astronomical units. One astronomical unit being the distance between the Earth and the Sun. In 2016, further work showed this unknown distant planet is likely on an incline, highly eccentric orbit. There's clear evidence out there. The trouble is that it's so far away that constant observations are close to impossible. And at number 5, Sumerian text and depictions. How could a civilization dating back 5,000 years have had more advanced knowledge of astronomy than we have today? That is a question we have long lost the answer to, but the ancient Sumerian depicted and documented the planet Nibiru some 3,500 years before the birth of Christ. There are even descriptions of beings that came down from this planet, of the crossing to mine Earth for gold in order to save the atmosphere of Nibiru on its closest approach to the sun. These beings are known to the ancients. Although the Sumerian astronomical texts are incredibly difficult to decipher, it has been done. One thing that is there for all of us to see and easily understood is, of course, the very famous depiction of Nibiru. This can't be denied, but incredibly, we are yet to fully understand astronomy as the ancient Sumerians did all those thousands of years ago. Maybe we are complicating our understanding of the sky. Maybe we are looking too hard and too far that we are missing the obvious answers to our deepest questions. At 4 on our list, Carlos Munoz Ferrara. His name is forever linked to Nibiru. Carlos Munoz Ferrara predicted with extraordinary accuracy numerous earthquakes in South America during the last century. He did this by making direct correlations between specific astronomical phenomena and various catastrophic earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. His most significant prediction regards the future arrival of a comet planet Nibiru. Ferrara calls it a comet planet because it has the size of a planet and the speed of an elliptical orbit of a comet. Munoz Ferrara explains that this is due to the catastrophic approach of the comet planet, which eventually will pass 14 million kilometers away from the Earth, accelerating the great geophysical change, which is already slowly advancing. The Chilean astronomer specified the mass, velocity, orbital time, the trajectory, and the terrible consequences being produced by Nibiru on our solar system. Chile recognized Munoz Ferrara for his mathematical accuracy in regards to the earthquake that devastated the south of the southernmost country in 1939. The accuracy was to such an extent that Ferrara even set the date for the earthquake, which was published in the Journal of Conception. He was only wrong by a difference of 2 hours. The disaster claimed the lives of 60,000 people. He announced the earthquakes of 1960 and 1985. There will come a time when Nibiru will be permanently visible as a second sun and in common conditions in broad daylight. This is why it was discovered in the 80s by the orbiting infrared telescope IRIS. Carlos did not mention when this planet would come close to the Earth, only that the world events would intensify as the years go by. The closer the planet gets, the more cataclysmic the events. We still cannot see the planet, so as we said in the start of the video, we are looking at a time frame of over 20,000 years, at least before the events get to any significant intensity. So not to worry guys, we may already have colonized the galaxy and invented light speed by that time.
At number 3, Cataclysms on Earth. At intervals throughout Earth's history, there has been world cataclysms or extinction-level events. From giants to dinosaurs and even 20-foot insects, the Earth has been under occupation for millions of years. And just like all other species that have become extinct, we will also come to an end at some point in Earth's history. The most recent cataclysm that we know of came 12,000 years ago, but unfortunately have no idea why it happened. We showed you in our previous selection that the Sumerian astronomers depicted the planet Nibiru on its way out of its highly elliptical orbit. So this could actually be the cause of the ancient event of 12,000 years ago, and the Sumerians were still able to view this planet on its way back to the outer solar system. It would explain how the Sumerians had the advanced knowledge possibly gifted from the Anunnaki of Nibiru as they mined the Earth for gold. Now we're completely aware of how crazy and wild of an idea this sounds, but let's just keep it away. And at number 2, the Asteroid Belt.
The Asteroid Belt is a strange place located between planets Mars and Jupiter. It is thought by many that the Asteroid Belt was in fact once a planet that collided with the Nibiru system. Beginning in 1801, tiny rock and metallic objects were discovered to be orbiting the Sun at about this distance. Since then, several 100,000 large asteroids have been cataloged, and it is estimated that there are more than 1 million large asteroids. Among catastrophicists, there is a substantial disagreement on the matter of the missing fifth planet from the Sun, in the place of which lies the Great Band, the debris of an enormous planet which the Sumerians knew as Tiamat. Ancient Sumerian texts indicate that Tiamat was struck by a large planet which moved into its present orbit and also created the Earth's moon and the asteroid belt. In his book, The 12th Planet and the Cosmic Code, Zechariah Sitchin outlines this celestial battle as described in the Babylonian text Enuma Elish. The planet Nibiru, as it came into the solar system on its clockwise retrograde elliptical course, struck Tiamat, which was moving in its ordained counterclockwise orbit. According to Sitchin's well-known translation, one of Nibiru's satellites struck Tiamat first, followed by 2 more of its moons. Nibiru, then itself an enormous cosmic entity, struck Tiamat, smashing 1/2 of the planet into pieces, which became what the Sumerians called the Great Band. The remaining half of the planet, which was struck by a smaller moon of Nibiru and was catapulted into a new orbit along with a chunk of material which became its moon. According to the Enuma Elish, Tiamat's original moons were dispersed, many changing the direction of their orbits and rotations, creating Earth's moon and the asteroid belt. There is indeed evidence of this great cataclysm in our solar system today. And number 1 on our list, Planet 9, speck of light observed.
In January of 2016, researchers at Caltech stunned the world by announcing the discovery of the Planet 9. A speck of light was observed, and astronomers and stargazers around the world are waiting in anticipation for more confirmation. Though the NASA researchers are stressing that this is only a speck of light that has been observed, they can confirm that they are on the verge of discovering the planet. So basically, the 200-year search for Nibiru is going to happen within 20 years. The object, which the researchers have nicknamed Planet 9, could have a mass of about 10 times that of Earth and orbit about 20 times farther than the Sun on an average than Neptune. It may take 20,000 Earth years to make one full orbit around the Sun. Have noticed some of the dwarf planets and other small icy objects tend to follow orbits that cluster together. By analyzing these orbits, the Caltech team predicted the possibility that a large, previously undiscovered planet may be hiding far beyond Pluto. They estimate the gravity of this potential planet may explain the unusual orbits of those belt objects. So there you have it. What do you think of our selections here? We hope you have enjoyed the evidence we have chosen to present to you. We are fully aware of the false information surrounding this planet, and the people who post the lies are doing a serious discredit to the people who are actively and historically dedicating their lives in the search for the planet Nibiru. Small shockwaves can make a huge difference, so please share our videos.
The sun is tilted by 6 degrees with respect to the plane of the planets. The reason for the non-zero solar obliquity has been a mystery since it was first discovered by Sir Richard Carrington in the mid-1800s. It turns out that Planet 9 can actually tilt the sun.
The fact that the sun is tilted, even if it's only by 6 degrees, the fact that the sun is tilted, the sun is the most massive thing in our solar system by a huge margin, and it's oriented differently than everything else in the solar system. That is an incredibly strange phenomenon for which there really have not been that many explanations even attempted over the last 150 years. It's naturally explained by Planet 9 being exactly where we think Planet 9 is, which it's one of these mysteries that we think is now solved, that's been such a mystery that people haven't even really talked about it very much over the last 150 years because it's just been so difficult to think of why it is.
It has been known since the mid-1800s that the sun is tilted. Over the years, people have put forth various explanations for it. One possibility is that the sun was interacting with the protoplanetary disk via magnetic fields. It's also possible that the disk was just asymmetrical from the beginning. And it's also possible that the sun actually had a stellar companion a long time ago.
It was a moment of inspiration. Not all projects start out this way. Not all results really come. Some of them come, it slowly dawns on you. We were sitting in Constantine's office one afternoon, and we were actually thinking about a different problem entirely, which is how Planet 9 would interact with these very distant objects in the Kuiper Belt that made us originally think that Planet 9 was there. And in just a moment, as we're thinking about it, and we're doing this with our hands, trying to think of directions things are going, I think we both realized at about the same time. It's like, oh, it's going to make the sun look tilted too. And it was very clear from the way we did our fingers that it was going to make an effect. What we didn't know until we did the calculations was how much of an effect was it going to have and in what direction was it going to go. But we knew it had to do something.
Planet 9 has been scattered out into the distant solar system. So because it has an orbital period that's so long, it has an enormous amount of angular momentum, right? As much almost as the rest of the solar system combined. So even though as an object it is not as massive as Jupiter, it has a huge lever bar. Okay? And using that lever bar, it can effectively torque the rest of the disk of the solar system by 6 degrees over the age of the sun.
Next, always next on our list is find the planet. We think we have it narrowed down to a pretty small patch in the sky that we have to look at. Small patch in the sky still means we need many, many nights on the telescope. We're pretty convinced that by maybe the end of next winter, we will have been able to cover enough sky that we'll actually be able to find it. When we find it, we both show that this hypothesis has been correct, we learn about it, but we also see how much of the sun, how it should have tilted the sun too, and see if this is the only thing that's been tilting the sun or if other things are around doing it.
Carlos Muñoz Ferrara, astrónomo, sismólogo y científico, por más de medio siglo ha impactado al mundo con sus pronósticos astronómicos y geofísicos. Una de sus más estremecedoras predicciones fue publicada en el diario El Sur de Concepción el jueves 19 de enero de 1939. En aquel entonces predijo que el 24 de enero de ese mismo año, a las 7:10 de la noche, un terremoto devastaría a Chile, pero nadie creyó en él. Efectivamente, con solo 4 horas de diferencia, su pronóstico se cumplió. A las 11:29 de la noche, durante 18 segundos, Chile tembló. Un gran terremoto destruyó 5 provincias en el sur de Chile, causando la muerte de 40.000 personas. El pueblo se aterró y todo quedó destruido. En la mente de los que sobrevivieron existía el recuerdo de aquel hombre que lo había anunciado unos días antes.
Los pronósticos de Muñoz Ferrara continuaron confirmándose con el paso del tiempo. La serie de terremotos entre el 21 y el 25 de mayo de 1960, el poderoso maremoto que llegó hasta Alaska, el gran sismo de 1965 en Ligua y el terremoto de 1985 en Valparaíso, Chile, son algunos de los aciertos que aún los científicos modernos no han podido explicar.
Con su ciencia geodinámica, este genio científico ha superado todas las leyes de la astronomía moderna. A través de sus cálculos, no tan solo ha acertado numerosos terremotos, explosiones volcánicas y alteraciones climáticas en diferentes partes del globo. Además, ha descubierto nuevos cometas y planetas, descifrando trayectoria, masa, brillo, coloración, coordenadas siderales y tiempos orbitales con increíble exactitud, antes de ser vistos por los grandes telescopios del mundo.
Esto generó expectación mundial, causando que la Royal Astronomical Society of London reformara su política, declarando que por el caso poco usual del señor Muñoz Ferrara, todo nuevo cometa llevaría el nombre de aquel que lo calculó primero, y no del que lo descubrió por casualidad con un telescopio.
Muñoz Ferrara también fue el primero en dar a conocer la trayectoria y perturbaciones por las cuales pasaría el famoso cometa Halley en su paso por nuestro sistema solar. Él indicó que a último momento el cometa alteraría su velocidad y pasaría más cerca del Sol. Efectivamente, el 12 de febrero de 1996, esto se cumplió. El brillante cometa se adelantó 36 horas en su tiempo orbital y pasó más cerca del Sol, a 85 millones de kilómetros.
Luego de 59 años de investigación, este gran científico estremece nuevamente las bases de la astronomía moderna y a sus 90 años de edad rompe el silencio para revelar la trayectoria y las terribles consecuencias que muy pronto Hercólubus, o cometa planeta como él le llama, causará sobre nuestro mundo.
Algo muy interesante es que usted hizo un estudio y trazó con cálculos y con todo la órbita de este cometa-planeta. Porque usted nos habla y nos dice que es cometa-planeta porque su movimiento no es algo normal.
No,
Que tiene unas velocidades.
es un cometa-planeta porque tiene órbita elíptica como cometa y porque tiene gran masa
Como planeta.
como planeta. Yo lo llamo entonces planeta-cometa. O sea, un planeta con cola.
Explica Munoz Ferrara que este gran astro que se acerca cargado de energía cósmica no cumple las leyes de la mecánica celeste establecidas. Posee una órbita elíptica y viaja entre nuestro Sol y un Sol negro que se encuentra a 32 billones de kilómetros. Entonces aquí en este gráfico usted nos muestra, en el gráfico, ¿verdad?, de que en este lado está la Tierra, la órbita de nuestra Tierra alrededor del Sol.
Sí, señor.
Y que él penetra en la órbita terrestre, aquí, pasando muy cerca de nuestra Tierra. Entonces tarda
A
desde
14 millones de kilómetros.
14 millones de kilómetros. Entonces acá usted en su gráfico nos presenta lo que es la estrella muerta o el sol muerto. En ese sol muerto él gira.
Aquí a 92 kilómetros por segundo.
Entonces, además de esos 92 kilómetros por segundo, él tiene otra velocidad, que es la más aterradora, ¿verdad? Que es la que se mueve muy
Tiene
rápido.
3 velocidades, hombre.
Munoz Ferrara confirma que este planeta viaja a 3 velocidades. Una alrededor del Sol Negro a 92 kilómetros por segundo. Otra cerca de nuestro Sol a 76 kilómetros por segundo. Y una tercera velocidad máxima.
Lo máximo lo tiene en la mitad de la órbita. A 300 kilómetros por segundo. O sea, un milésimo de la velocidad de la luz.
Eso es rápido. Pronto acontecerá un evento que permitirá que el Hercólobus pueda verse a simple vista.
Este cuerpo no va a pasar desapercibido. Todo el mundo lo va a ver.
Y va a haber gran confusión.
Más que confusión.
Y le van a dar un sinnúmero de interpretaciones a este asunto.
Uf. Muchas.
Los astrónomos dirán que lo que se verá es Marte o cualquier otro planeta, pero en realidad es el Hercólobus. ¿Qué consecuencias sobre nuestro planeta?
Las más terroríficas.
Luego,
Cada cual arrégleselas como pueda.
Munoz Ferrara pronostica 3 grandes terremotos.
He calculado 3 puntos triangulados de alta sismicidad que se aproximan. El norte de la costa del Mediterráneo, Francia y España. La costa sur del Pacífico, de Valparaíso a Arequipa. Y Java, Sumatra y Borneo. 3 puntos. Estos puntos van a ser terremotos de carácter volcánico.
El Hercólobus causará devastadores terremotos y provocará una gran transformación.
El gran campo gravitacional que trae ese astro nuevo, que hace 13.000 años que no penetró y que 13.000 años atrás fue en los tiempos de Atlántida perdida, tiene resonancia y efectos que a los reflejos, que a la debilidad. Queda el gran cambio.
Ese gran cambio, el cual usted viene estudiando desde 1940, ¿verdad? Que viene estudiando ese astro. Van 59 años de documentación. Ese gran cambio es humano, además es a la Tierra, porque indica un cambio de polos.
Es geofísico y humano.
Geofísico y humano. Y se habla de que va a haber un cambio de los polos magnéticos de la Tierra.
Son tantas las cosas que lamentable la humanidad no está preparada. El cambio viene. La destrucción viene. Y más que nada afectará a la humanidad en su existencia, en su producción, en su subsistencia misma.
This clay tablet is the print of a seal about 4,500 years old. It depicts the scene of the god Enlil granting to mankind the plough, the beginning of modern agriculture. But very interestingly, we see at the top here, as the background of the cylinder seal, a depiction of the complete solar system, with the Sun in the center, and all of the planets we know of in their correct order, with their correct sizes. Plus, one more planet, which is still unknown to modern science, but is being actively searched for, because it does exist, as astronomers now concur with ancient knowledge. Possible that mankind is only just catching up with ancient knowledge. That the Sumerians were particularly at home with astronomy is evidenced by the fact that they had known, named, and listed all of the planets we know today, including those we ourselves rediscovered only in the past couple of centuries.
Nudimmud, the artful creator. Anu, he of the heavens. Anshar, foremost of the heavens. Kishar, foremost of firm lands. Rakish, the hammered bracelet. Lachmu, their god of war. Ki, the seventh planet. We call it Earth.
The seventh planet, the sacred number 7, 7 days in the week, 7 days of Genesis, 7 tablets of creation.
Sumerian cosmogony answers many puzzles that still baffle modern science. Central to it was the tale of a celestial collision and knowledge of a solar system with 12 members. That ancient knowledge included the planets Uranus and Neptune, supposedly unknown until discovered in 1781 and 1846, and even Pluto, not discovered until 1930. But most surprising was the inclusion of one more large planet as the 12th member of our solar system. The story of this planet, as told by the Sumerians on their 7 tablets of creation, begins 4 billion years ago, when our solar system was much younger and our own planet Earth did not yet exist.
Out of deep space, there appeared an intruder called Nibiru. Drawn into the center of our solar system, passing by Neptune and Uranus and Saturn and Jupiter, it faced an older planet called Tiamat. When Nibiru, traveling clockwise, came close to Tiamat, which was traveling counterclockwise, its satellite struck Tiamat and cracked it. In a series of collisions, one half of Tiamat was smashed completely into bits and pieces. It became the comets, and became what the Bible and the Sumerian epic called the firmament, what we call the Asteroid Belt. The other half, what we now call Earth, was thrust into a new orbital position. It carried along Tiamat's main satellite, which became our moon. Nibiru itself was caught into a permanent clockwise orbit around our sun, returning to our neighborhood once in every 3,600 years, and forever becoming the 10th planet of our solar system.
This tale of creation echoed through all the ancient cultures, becoming part of the scientific knowledge that we find in the Old Testament, in the creation story of Genesis.
Modern astronomy and recent discoveries corroborate this millennia-old tale.